Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. It is a gorgeous day, absolutely stunning. I cannot believe it. So the last video was very much I'm giving up, I've given up, and that feeling has only intensified since I last picked up the camera, really. The mood is very low, and in part just because the weather has been diabolical. It felt like winter was here, to be honest, like not autumn, but just winter. We've had lows of like 3 degrees. It's been a little while since I've been to the plot, but last time I was here, it was diabolical. It was awful, actually, like physically repulsive, some of the stuff on show. So I'm not too hopeful about today, but it's Sunday. I do have a few hours up here and I've got the car. There's a few things in here. We've got the trug. There's some harvesting, some cardboard, and in the back, look, this is a signal of intent. I've got the petrol. So I think I might do a bit of mowing because last time I was here, the paths had just gone completely wild. And I showed off in a video a little while back in the back garden. I've got a load of kind of mixture of homemade compost and topsoil. So I brought a little bit of that up as well to get on some of the beds, maybe do a bit of bed clearance if we've got time. So first things first, before I start unloading the car, let's just go and have a little look, see what the damage is. Now, the thing that I'm probably most nervous about is the greenhouses have been closed. So I've still got auto vents at the top and on the louvre, but it is looking like the chili peppers in there are pretty warm. But just look at the paths. I know I said I was giving up, but it's not been that long since I was here, but it is just incredible how quick it just goes completely wild. Completely wild. Now, in the greenhouse, ooh, that looks okay. We've actually got some courgettes. Look, that one's ready to harvest. Oh, exciting, but yes, just incredible. Look at this, the chicory's going to flower, full of bees. It actually is amazing how much difference the weather makes, because last time now this looks kind of gorgeous. There's flowers, there's pollinators. We've got a courgette. Last time I was here, it was just miserable and rainy and it just looked absolutely horrific. This path, oh goodness me. Now, this greenhouse has generally been okay. When I have been coming up, stuff in here is doing okay. The chilies, all good. That one looks all good. It just needs a little water. But this greenhouse is really dire. Everything in here has gone pretty wrong, but you know, it doesn't look too bad. Last time I was here, it was absolutely like just moldy basically, and this is the kind of the theme. Everything has just gone horrifically moldy. There's a little bit of it here on these leaves. You can see it on the surface of the tomatoes. These just covered in mold. It's only surface, so you know it's harvestable, and then you just give it a wash, but it just felt so grim last time I was in here. I must say, I gave it all a really good prune. Oh, that's had a big snap. When I was up here last, I've taken out a few of the cucumbers and all of that kind of stuff just to try and get a bit more airflow. The goat bag down here, whoa, absolutely gigantic, but sure enough, this one, not too happy. Goat bag is strange. So we've harvested 2 of those now. One was about 500 grams, the other was 800. The 800 gram one tasted divine, really, really nice, but the other 500 gram one just tasted like green. It was like it wasn't ripe. It's quite a difficult one to tell when it's ripe or not. It doesn't go fully red, it's like a pale orange. But yeah, that's been interesting, that one. I must say, the weather makes such a difference. Look at this, bramble coming in. Just going crazy. There's lots of chilies on there. A few are just overripe now, so the chilies are definitely overdue a harvest. Got some of the pepper dew coming in as well, which are incredibly sweet. Brassicas looking pretty good. There's even a leek in there. These red cabbage not quite ready to harvest yet, but just this is meant to be a wood chip path. Incredible. And this butternut squash plant, I don't know what's got into it. I gave this a prune in the last video and this is just about held up, but oh, it's incredible. There's some of the outdoor tomatoes over here looking just completely horrific. This is one of the goat bag. Oh, look at this. Snappage and black stems. I don't think this is blight. It's close to blight, but I think it's actually the botrytis, which was just starting in the Polytunnel last time we were there as well. So just a shame. They're not good. They are not good. I don't really want to take any of those, to be honest. And Oh no. Oh no. So these did not look great last time I was here, but they didn't look this bad. All of the Roma tomatoes outdoors. I thought this might have been blight or that botrytis, and it looks like there is plenty of that about, lots of leaf curl and really, really ill stems, but it might just be that they have actually really suffered from the temperatures. I've got a thermometer in the Polytunnel that we'll check out, see what that got to. This little bed of courgettes, absolutely miserable. Although this one is having a go and getting eaten by something. No great surprise. I did plant out a series of beans in here. You can see lots of windfall off the apples. They've had a weird year as well. Lots of them looking ripe, but they're actually not quite ripe and they're falling off very early. These are lovely, gorgeous bean plants. Look at those, really, really healthy. Oh dear me, I knew that they would do that. I knew as soon as I got them out, they would just go to nothing. The hot bin, I think it might be time to give this an open soon and see what's going on. It has sunk an awful lot. You can see I've kind of given up on making sure everything is properly shredded in here. And just over the last few times I've been up, just chucking stuff in. Pretty lazy, to be honest. Ooh, there is butternut squash here. Just one off this plant, but that's better than nothing, isn't it? Look at this path. The wood chip paths. Oh, dear me. And yes, Polytunnel. So I'm a bit nervous about this. You can see I've shut the door and we have had, I would say, kind of 2 days of sunshine, probably. Let's have a look. I did leave the back kind of half open, so it's not completely closed in, but I can feel the heat coming out of here already. Now, you know what? Just at a cursory glance, this looks much, much better than it did last time. So the really gross stuff was on these cucumbers. There were just leaves that had just completely black, like this surface mold just completely blackened. And I cut back a load of them. Hopefully I've got some pictures, but I did give them a good prune just in the hopes that it might stave it off a little bit. You can see it on the stem here. Just moldy, just really, really gross. And I think maybe since then the weather's got a little better, but it was the same on a lot of the tomatoes, lots of surface mold. And where we've had some really heavy rain, loads and loads of splitting. And I have to say, they do look a lot healthier than last time I was here. They don't look too bad. I don't think there's much harvesting left on the tomatoes, if I'm honest though. There's a couple of little Alice's Dreams over here. They're looking pretty nice. But generally, I think with the turn of the season, the change in the temperatures, there's not going to be too much more on here. And there's not much here for me to harvest today. It's been about, I would say, 6 or 7 days since I was here last, and yeah, there's not much more ripe fruit on the tomatoes. The chilies, however, this is definitely a harvest day for the chilies. Look at this Hainan Yellow Lantern. Bit of a weird one, this, compared to everyone else's. I'm not sure what's gone on with the pods, but there's some harvesting. You can see extremely dry, extremely wilted, but they're pretty hardy. They'll bounce back just fine. We've got a few of the bleeding jigsaw coming in now. Look at the colour on those. Really cool multicolour, actually, as they're kind of ripening that green. So that's good news, that is good news. These are overdue of water, but like I say, they'll bounce. Oh, look at that. Oh, gnarly looking. I've only done a few super hots, but they do look good this year. The auto pots, absolutely incredible. Of course, these are all looking really, really healthy. There are some nice looking, can you see those? Some nice looking bell peppers at the back there. It has turned into a chili jungle. Of course, though, there's 6 plants in here and it's going to be tricky to access, but the champions looking really good. Oh, look at all those. Oh, amazing. I can't believe it. I was expecting it to be about 20 times worse in there. When I was here last time, the feeling in the tunnel was just like, I actually came out with a bit of a sore throat because there was so much mold in there. I did take out 2 tomatoes as well that looked really sickly. I can't remember the varieties. I think an indigo blue chocolate and maybe the Alice's Dream. They were really, really moldy. In fact, it's just down here. You can just see the whole thing completely moldy. I think that's the botrytis. I think it's the same thing that Tony C. Smith had. It's the sort of thing you might expect when you've got a really humid, kind of warm time of year, that mold growth and that kind of thing. The rest of the plot, well, oh good lord, it's just a state. And I do think I've got a bit of time to start some tidying up today. So there's just a lot of clearance to do, you know. How are these sweet potatoes looking? They finally started growing. Not much, but they are doing something, which is quite impressive. The pumpkin has completely died off. That other squash completely dead. Definitely time to take down all the sweet peas and that kind of thing. I'm feeling like I might be in the mood for just a bit of tidying. The path back here doesn't look too bad. I was expecting it to have gone absolutely wild with the grass. Not too bad. There's still some potatoes in tubs kicking around. There's one in there. Might take one of those home today. I think it'd be good to get this onion bed cleared up. How was the onion harvest, JB? Yeah, really good, thanks. Thanks for asking. I'm really glad I did all these onions. Look, they're looking really good. Look at that. What an amazing harvest. Wow. Whoa, you could feed an army with that. Never mind. Yes, time to clear those. The leeks are starting now. You can actually see them. You can actually make out some of the leek plants. Maybe a quick weed around those. This pumpkin plant, what are you doing? What are you up to? Have you got anything growing? I'm sure you had a fruit back here in the grass. Look at this. Popped a little fox defense on there just to stop it getting too bad. Ah, this is one of the turban squashes. Can you see that? No. There we are. These are really, really cool, but not a very productive plant, unfortunately, just the one on there, and it's starting to look a bit sad. The plums, they were a sad story as well. Not a single plum this year. Never mind, despite my best attempts at pruning and getting some more air in there, they have all rotted off. Parsnips are looking okay. Real mixed bag in terms of like the ones that are growing nicely. Squash, a squash, the rest of the plant dying off. No big deal. Happy to get something, to be honest. Anything is better than nothing. And look at this. Very similar, loads and loads of powdery mildew, but we do have one on here, so we're just gonna leave these, see how they go. One really big thing that I'm very worried about at the moment is the encroaching bindweed that is coming from this neighbouring plot. There is so much of it on here. Like more than I've ever seen on that plot next door, and it is all coming over. So if anyone has any suggestions for what to use on this, to be honest, I'm pretty tempted to resort to glyphosate, which is no one's favourite, and it feels like a bit of a last resort, but if this comes over and properly gets established under this bed, it's going to cause me just nightmares. Absolute nightmares. So yeah, any other tips, let me know. Asparagus has gone pretty wild, don't look at that too close, so has the rhubarb. Oh, look at this though. Gorgeous black scabious. Really, really cool. And thankfully, no more polytunnel damage for the meantime. Quickly touch wood, touch wood. Oh dear me. I've been so like happy and overjoyed just because it's such a nice day and everything's looking a bit nicer than I was expecting. I might have said it like 3 times now, but I cannot believe what a difference the weather makes. When I was here last time and it was just black sky, tipping it down, everything looked 10 times worse. But there is one very, very serious problem that we have, and it really felt on that day like it was just like, oh, are you serious? Adding insult to injury in here. I had this one cucumber plant which I thought might just do something in the greenhouse if I let it kind of trail down, and it's looking very poorly, and when I look closely I saw what looks like telltale spider mite damage. And then when I looked a little closer, you can just start to see the webbing, the tiny little spider mites in there. It's all over this as well, the ground cherry. So these are immediately going outside. How are the aubergines looking? A little fruit on there. I can't see any spider mites, but I'm gonna have a little look, have a little closer look and see if there's anything and evict them immediately. But very, very perplexing that that is the first sign of spider mites I've seen. Last year they were in that greenhouse. I was hoping they weren't gonna be in this one because of all the seedlings and the chili peppers. And somehow maybe they've started off as a seedling in here, or they've gone in here for a while, got a little bit of spider mite, but I've not seen them on the cucumbers. They're not on the aubergines, he says. I mean, it's not the healthiest looking aubergine, but whoa, okay, look at those. That is the greenhouse whitefly. Relatively harmless, I'm told, so I'm not too worried about those, but yes, is that aubergine ready? Tiny little one. How do you tell when an aubergine's ready? This has been on the plant for ages. But yes, it doesn't look like there's any spider mite damage. So what I'm going to do, first things first, I'm just going to unload the car, and then I'm going to give those chili peppers a drink because they are looking pretty unhappy with me, to be honest. I just remembered I said a minute ago I was going to show you the temperature reading and our low overnight temperatures, but my thermometer that was in the polytunnel died. So that's not very useful. just runs on AAA batteries. There is one in here which is much less, just one of these little green ones, and that does say we had a low of 5 degrees in the greenhouse, which means it was probably a little bit cooler outside and in the polytunnel, but that's still very, very low for early September for us. So what I was thinking is that considering we've had such a challenging start to the year, extremely slow, extremely grey, quite chilly start to the year as well, and then summer itself has been pretty pants, and now we've got this pretty crap autumn period. The chili peppers are looking pretty good, and I have got a really nice crop of tomatoes already. It's the first year that I'd had, you know, the polytunnel going with proper tomato crops, you know, like loads and loads of plants. And we've been eating lots fresh, but the main preservation method we've done is kind of based on Audrey from Real Food Comes Dirty. She said what she does is just roasts the tomatoes, lets them reduce a little bit, sweeten up, kind of condense down, and then blitz them up and freeze them, basically. So you've got it's not quite tomato sauce, but it's somewhere between tomato, like jarred tomato and a tomato sauce. And we've got nearly 10 litres of that in the freezer. So don't get me wrong, I am over the moon with the tomato harvest this year. It's really just everything else I've had trouble growing. I think the chilies have had a medium kind of year, you know, I'm kind of happy with them. But given that these are the best chilies I've ever had at the start of the season, you know, leaving the house, they did get maybe a little long in the tooth. But for example, the ones in the quad grow here, I've had bigger crops before, you know, with less optimum starts to the year, less optimum compost mixes and that kind of thing earlier on in my kind of start to gardening, basically. So they're looking decent, but they're not amazing, you know? And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm very, very happy that given the challenges I've had this year, that we've all had this year, I'm very, very pleased. The chili peppers are looking happier already. Now, recently I've been noticing, like when I start editing my videos, they're so blooming long. I don't mean them to be. I always think I've filmed about 20 minutes and then it can turn into like the best part of an hour. And I'm editing them just like, JB, shut up. I want to do something else. I want to stop editing this video. So what I'm going to do, put the camera down for a bit and just get cracking. I'm going to get some mowing done, maybe a little bit of weeding, probably a lot of tidying, just a bit of ripping out as well. And I'll catch up with you afterwards. Having a plot with grass paths is very interesting. I was sort of starting to be won over by the wood chip path, and what I did for mine is a little layer of cardboard and then wood chip over the top. And actually you can see, if you let them get away a little bit, then they are probably way more work than a grass path. You know, a grass path, I could just run the mower over this, but because these are, you know, proper weeds with roots, we've got a lot of plantain, dandelion, loads of chickweed coming up as well, that's slightly easier to get rid of. But I've got to get in here with my gloves and actually make them properly weed free. You know, if I just run the mower over them, that won't do anything. I can just mulch with some more cardboard and more wood chip. That's what I would do, but we haven't had a wood chip delivery in ages. But there is something I wanted to show you, just because I am fairly confident that it is blight actually on the tomatoes from talking to all the neighbours. And I had in here, in my compost bay, loads of tomato volunteers. These bush tomatoes are looking incredible, and well, look at them. There's a few just about hanging on, but they're not long for this world. So a bit of a shame, but one of those things. It's especially common with a late year, you know, and the weather that we've had, just perfect for blight. So there it is, but the plot already just looks so much better instantly. As soon as you give it a little mow, it just transforms it, changes the mood of it a little bit. Now, where I start next, I'm not too sure. Every single one of these beds needs a lot of work, but I've got my eye on actually the sweet peas and the pea frame right at the back of the plot. I think I'm going to start there, just because. Now we've got about 4 hours worth of time lapse, so I thought I'd keep you company because it's quite a lot of video. And the first thing was, yeah, just this area, and you can see pretty decent little potato harvest. We had some King Edwards, which have been okay, and the Charlottes have been really, really nice this year. Getting rid of the sweet peas, I remembered I wanted to harvest some of the Chelsea collection seeds. There's a few on there, not a massive crop, but I'm hoping for good things next year. And this was me getting carried away. I do not recommend this. Putting up grass by hand. Not very productive, but this was pretty finicky as well, but it felt very good to just be ripping stuff out and clearing the beds, to be honest. I'm probably just going to leave that pea structure there, gave the soil a little bit of a weed and then a top up. It was time to start using some of the manure as well. I got 50 bags delivered a little while ago and it's taken up some space, so time to get loading on, even though it's a little early in the year. This is standard, weeding by hand first, anything with roots, and then just going in with the hoe. And oh my goodness, doesn't this look good? Isn't this just the best sight? I absolutely love it. So it's a mixture of mulching here, but also I'm conscious that I really want to start raising the level of these raised beds. This is my onion harvest. I did pick them and I might pickle them or something, little delicate onions. And here you can see I'm really churning it up. So this is a kind of semi-dig, and then I've really gone in with that soil miller, trying to break everything up, added the compost from home, then lots of well-rotted manure, and hopefully this is going to lead to some better things. And then the best time harvesting in the tunnel. You can see just a few tomatoes today, and the chilies. This was the start of something good. I've left a few on there, and that's not me being lazy, that's me waiting until stuff is the perfect ripeness. And look at those little yellow beauties. That's my Kangstar Lemon Starburst. First time we've ever got a harvest, but once again, a little bit of time left on the plant. And here I got completely carried away and just decided to start rearranging all of my chili peppers. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you do that? I think I explain that in a little bit of time.
Oh, getting those wicking matting. Nearly.
Okay, hello folks. I don't know why I chose now, of all times, to just start rearranging the polytunnel, but the situation with the chili peppers was getting a bit out of hand, and I thought, you know what, I've taken off so much of the foliage on the tomatoes now that it's actually a really good space for the chilies to just sit in. So I've moved a few over there, and it's going to mean these ones on this side of the tunnel, a bit more room to breathe, bit more sunlight as well hitting the fruit and the leaves, which is really important for ripening, especially if the seasonal downturn is going to continue as it started. And also it allows me good access now into the side of these auto pot peppers, and I'm very excited to have a look in here because my sweet peppers have been really mixed on the whole, really mixed, because in a lot of places I've got healthy, nice looking plants, but all of the fruits just a bit gross. They've always got something wrong with them. And from here, these look pretty healthy. This is a California Wonder. I'm going to see if I can. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh, what the... I don't know what causes this. I've seen a lot of other people say that they've had similar issues, but I've just put my hand through this one. It looked brilliant from this side. But no, that is just completely gone. That's a shame. That was a good sized chili pepper. There's one here that is like grown around the stem. I don't want to break the plant. This is wild. Can I lift you out? Oh, it's a big pepper. Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. This is where the stem was. Not 100% ripe, that one, but that will be fine. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, oh. Can you hear that? Literally just dripping liquid. One of the things I'm finding with the California Wonders is that I've got a lot that they seem like they're ripe, but they're still quite green, you know? So tricky to tell, a bit like that goat bag tomato that I was talking about earlier. It doesn't get that proper red colour, so tricky to see whether or not it's ripe. And I can see a little green caterpillar on one of these, and I'm wondering if maybe it's one of those tomato caterpillars that's been doing the damage to the big peppers. Oh, it just fell off. I was going to show you. I'm not making it up, I promise. Strange. Okay, well, slightly disappointing. I was hoping that maybe the autopots might be solving whatever is causing my my sweet pepper issues, but alas, I've got one here actually that I harvested earlier, and this is a really minor example. This is good enough that I'm going to take this home and just cut that out, as long as there's nothing inside it. But a lot of the other ones, like you've seen, are just, you know, they're completely gone. I guess you just get a little bit of damage and then the rot sets in, and the bell peppers just seem so susceptible to it. But I've got 6 plants in here. This basket is looking nice and full. We've had lots and lots of tomato harvest, but this is probably the first proper chili harvest. We've got Ring of Fire, the Korean, a few of the Antep Akidalmas that are fine. A lot of these have been really, really poorly as well. A few of the pepper dews just starting to come through now, the Hain Yellow Lantern, loads of those, and a few Sugar Rush Long Peach. There's in here more Ring of Fire, more Korean peppers, much smaller variety this year, and loads of Champion, which are looking really good. Now, of course, I adore this tunnel, and this season, especially with giving up and stuff, the last video, the tone, I have been very much thinking about Steve, and as always, I'm just always so grateful for this tunnel, but I can see why for a lot of people, their perfect situation would actually be a very large greenhouse where they have staging. So everything is on tables and easy to access. So you don't have to literally lie on your back to get under the plants to harvest them. This is incredible under here though. There are just so many. They look so good. I'm gonna get my phone quickly and just take a picture so you can actually see what it's like looking up here. Well, goodness me, folks, I just got very carried away putting up some kind of bamboo supports for that Champion chili. It's really getting very out of control and at severe risk of snapping under its own weight. And those are like my favourite plants. So it's sort of like, that has to be avoided at all costs. I've just seen a jalapeno in here. Just a little one, but very ready for harvesting. So let's get that as well. But let me get the tomatoes as well, actually. I forgot the tomatoes. Ooh. And in fact, the idea that this is a poor tomato harvest, which it is, it's not the best at all that I've had this year, is, I mean, that's an incredible sign, isn't it, about how I've actually had a pretty good season. I mean, I know the mood has been pretty low in some of the recent videos and I've just been tired, but so much of that isn't really about the allotment. A lot of it is the weather and the kind of the tricky season we've had, but we've had so much DIY. The last kind of 3 weeks in the house has just been non-stop, and I had that time off work and it was the least restful time off work I've ever had. So busy, but it's like 95% done now. All I need to do is fix our shower and then it's pretty good. We've had a new kitchen floor in. I've spent so long scampering around on scaffolding. We did loads of stuff in the back garden, like finally paint the blue fences. So you know, I've cut my losses a little bit in the allotment, but I've had a really productive time elsewhere. And it's been so nice today to just get stuck in, you know. We weren't really sure what we were gonna do today, Sunday. We had a few options. And then they kind of fell through and I was like, you know, I think it's time to get back to the plot, see what it does for me. And I have really enjoyed it. It's been hard work working on those 3 beds, but I'm really hoping that they're gonna come round. I'm gonna put some more material on there. It's still early in the season, but one of the main reasons I wanted to get a load of stuff on there is just to free up a little bit of space just to the side of the camera there. I had a stack of bags of manure that I had to get outside and moved on because it won't be long until I'm gonna be doing a lot of sheltering in here, I'm sure, and I'll wanna bring that chair back so I can sit down and have lots of nice conversations with you. But there we are. Thank you ever so much for watching today. An extra special thank you, as always, to all of my patrons. It's been ages since I said thank you to the Chili Pepper tier patrons, so let's see if we can remember the names of Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Sogs in the Garden, Andrew, Sarah, Dorcasaur, Andrea, Andre, Brett, and Louise. Thank you all ever so much for watching. I think the videos are still going to be a little bit quiet, but definitely a few more than the last 2. I think I did 2 across the whole last month. So look forward to seeing you soon, and thanks again for watching.